When you download Simplemind, you can either use it on your computer or your phone. I typically use it on my phone, but it's easier to record this video on a computer. To open it up, new page, you press File, new page, something like this will pop up. You'll title it, and it'll be the first bubble. It'll be locked. If you don't want it locked, then you just double tap to make another one, and then you can kind of move them around. But I have typically use it for 4 different purposes. And the first purpose is to really define what a fully trained disciple is so that I can hit my first goal, first of 3, and then be able to leave them to go make another disciple. So here are the main principles, and then you can really thoroughly answer these questions like evangelism, what is it, why is it important, how to do it. You can either make a new bubble to explain these things, or you can press the T and it opens up a little text box that's hidden within the bubble. And so doing that for all of these, and this is kind of like your template then moving forward. And then the next one I do is I'll make a list of, so yeah, me and my wife, and then my disciples, her disciples, our kids, which we co-disciple. So it's just a simple outlook as to our second gen disciples, just to easily look at something. And then after that, say I'm discipling Peter, I'll make a specific page for each of these guys. So Peter's page will look like this, where then I will have that beginning to imitate that template I had previously showed you here. This is like where I'm trying to get him to, and then this is where he's currently at. And so you start just adding it as you teach him what this is, why to do it, and how to do it. Once you've like molded it, then you kind of can add it in here. So still got some work to do with him, but then the other thing I'll do for this is make a list of Peter's fat disciples, faithful, available, teachable disciples. Here's the 5, and you can even keep track of generations. So I want to see this at least hit 4 generations one time. Obviously ideal to have many, but then they know what it takes to get there. And you can also have a bubble for church. So it's the church in Peter's home. Here are all the people he gathers with. Looks like Adam and John are 2 guys he's the disciples and gathers with. The others are just people that he probably has found in other means. And so you see here that it doubles Joey, Mike. Yeah, just redundant just because he's discipling them. But James and Jennifer and everyone else, you can just still add on this one everyone's gen map from there. And then and then from there you can do this one, Church of Peter's home. So this is just groups. So for example, Joey and Mike both have churches in their homes right here. Joey, Mike, and then but it doesn't look like Will or Brianna do. So they're discipling these people, but yet they don't have a church in their home yet. And so when it gets really complicated, you can make one that's just churches. A new page where it's like the church in your home. You could make a text where it's like list off all the names in the church in your home. And then you got all the disciples that came from all the different people that gather in your house. And then, but these are just disciples that have churches. So there's probably more disciples being made here, but these are the ones that have churches. And then, generationally, typically we want to only track to the 4th generation. It's going to be hard enough to keep that information. But again, it's the leave marker for your disciples, so you know you're good to go. So again, in summary, the reason why I'm tracking this here is because I want to make sure that he's fully trained. Here, I want to make sure that he is multiplying, and then here is I want to be able to replace myself in his life with a healthy church. And so, what we need to do to not live reactionary lifestyles and actually achieve our goals is we need to assess and then discern and act. And so this is just a way to assess the work so that you can see, okay, or how close am I to these goals. If you don't assess, you just reactionally disciple, then honestly, you're not aiming at anything. So, for example, I'll meet with Peter, and Peter will give me a rundown on everything, and then I could be like, well, it seems like James is discipling Will, and how can your church help Will have a church? That's like a good action step from this assessment. And then Peter, again, I'd be like, hey, John, it seems to be Joey's doing really well. Maybe John can step back from Joey a little bit to go make a new disciple. So those action steps come right out of assessment on these things. So in summary, I make a list of disciples page, and then I have a list of disciples that have churches page, and then I have the little template of what does it mean to be fully trained and all the details associated, and then you can have the more detailed page per disciple tracking towards these three goals. And that is how I use Simplemind.